And in the red, the last North American hope here in the Western Clash. Zugrug playing Johanna, Lutano on Raynor, Malfurion played by Collusion, Nasmus playing Urel, and Phoenix played by Yoda. This is Team Freedom.
Every morning it seems like Mopsio's at the same breakfast time that I'm at, and he constantly, we've talked about the Cho'Gall picks in the past, and that's why he knew I love this. And they came in with a strategy. He knows he's criticized some of the same talents. He's like, wait a minute, but he's having a tough time getting out of here. Cho'Gall is actually going to be first blood, getting bodied right there. Cho'Gall, he's thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. He ain't getting out of there.
Cho'Gall is Cho'Gone and back to the base. That is a double kill for Team Freedom because they were able to get that. A pulse bomb on the back of that, nearly got a kill on Malfurion, but Collusion stayed alive, had the heals, stayed safe. Cho'Gall, let's talk about the pros and cons for him. Of course, that is two people playing one hero, so it can be limiting when you're talking about rotations around the map, but you're Tomb of the Spider Queen. The lanes are pretty close together, so they can try to make those appropriate rotations. But where are the strengths coming in for Cho'Gall, J-How?
Well, clearly Cho'Gall has incredible wave clear between him, and he has the solo support. It allows this weird 3-2 split that is not that common on this battleground, but when you have that type, you can also use the Tassadar to rotate between mid and bottom, and then you can look for kills because that is so impactful in that wave clear. So right now, that Cho'Gall death at the beginning set them back in those rotations, which is why we see Team Freedom ahead of the curve.
Yeah, Team Freedom also, because Yoda played solo laner both for Superstars and for a brief time on Freedom, he is able to solo lane safely whenever he goes onto a Phoenix, which is what we're seeing in the bot lane. He stays safe. If the Tracer comes in, he can try to warp out of a pulse bomb. And meanwhile, Team Freedom's trying to keep the early siege going. It's important that before that Cho'Gall starts to stack up, starts to ramp up and get more and more powerful in the late game, that Freedom bring down some of these structures so they maintain control of the game.
Well, the number one thing is you always want to have enough done by the time Cho'Gall hits 13. He gets the cooldown reduction on that rune bomb that continues to go out. You want to make sure that you are ahead enough to where it's not that impactful. Of course, bombs away at level 4 is all about where the damage comes from for that Cho'Gall counterpart. And you go through, you land those bombs, the explosion on the enemy team, and it ramps up. It's an infinite stacking quest, but more importantly, post 20, it goes out further, faster, and then you can start targeting those backliners.
And the analyst us mentioned it, there's not a lot of possibilities for percent-based damage until much later in the game. We've seen a lot more Templar's Verdict, that will help at 16. Similarly, Phoenix and Raynor at 16 both can get some percent-based damage, but they need to get more done before that. They cannot rely on just getting those talents. Team Freedom have to be aggressive, have to make these rotations, have to run circles around Lamentni and the rest of leftovers.
The hardest part, I think, for Team Freedom is simply going to be, can we survive the onslaught? We know that the damage is there, and then you also have DAB on Tracer, his best hero, but for Mitney here, obviously getting on those healing points, you have the penetrating round from Raynor, you have the hammer knockback from Urel, and every time you get on those points, it will be difficult to stay on those points for some of that key healing pre-level 10, where I think we can expect Lifebinder.
Oh, Lifebinder with a Cho'Gall, that you transfer your percentage-based healing to that of the heal, unless you're the one that's low and then you get the percentage up, but the idea is not that way. It is way more so to be able to heal up this huge health bar that is made so big because it's two people within one hero. And the Q build already shows us it's very likely to be that, because this Q build for Alexstrasza allows her to try to keep her health of a very high thanks to Life Blossom when she gets that at level 7.
Right now, this will be the first turnover for Team Freedom, and we've seen Yoda sniff out this siege camp. DAB did use that pulse bomb on one of the siege giants for better clear. Podyboss is going to come over, provides the shield. Yoda, see if he has that warp out in time. Pulse bomb is going to be there. Yoda, that is one way you can do it. Does not get the parting gift on there. That's a fancy trick, is when you get that pulse bomb on you, you can warp out of it. You are invulnerable. Basically, you're disappearing at that point. Perfectly played by Yoda.
But DAB knew that too. He was trying to bring down the health bar long enough to force it out early, not being able to get that, then trying to get the parting gift. Had that connected, losing Yoda would have been a detriment to Team Freedom in the largest sense, because they want max damage done with these web weavers. They want to start snowballing this map by taking down structures with this web weavers, getting control of every single lane thanks to the strong push that they've had in a lot of these lanes, and then rotate back out and turn in their gems. This is a very early turn in though, so they're looking to get aggressive along with it so that they can get them closer to 10, because behind this, they don't have a ton of gems. They sacrificed to get this so early so they could open up this map.
For Team Freedom, this is a success on the first turn in. Cho'Gall does have good wave clear, very good wave clear post 13. Tassadar still working on that Psystorm quest, and that really comes online at 16 when you get that Psionic Echo. So beyond the 13-16, those two heroes alone can prolong this game in ways that other heroes can't. But for now, Team Freedom, they continue the aggression, they continue to move forward, they knock back this Cho'Gall over and over. Mitney going in, but getting rooted and stunned and everything else along the way, having a difficult time. Dragon Queen is out, Gilly.
Well, the pressure there did keep Team Freedom up, and now DAB moving in, gets the pulse bomb and the follow-up damage. That'll ramp up post 10 when he can get Quantum Spike too, but for the moment, it does force back Team Freedom, along with that Dragon Queen, so that Leftovers can keep that fort alive. That keeps some valuable experience away from the hands of Team Freedom to get them closer and closer to those heroic abilities. Leftovers have enough gems for a turn-in, but they're choosing to be pretty, just trying to respond. But now finally being able to get the gems in is a welcome reprieve for Leftovers.
It's not too often do you see it this situation. It's almost like stopping the early bleeding before it becomes an open wound that you can't heal. And so getting this will establish some map control, get you some experience back. You also siege up incredibly well with Cho'Gall. For Blakitny, only 3 stacks on that level 4 quest, so they need to find more stacking opportunities here as now the Web Weavers have landed. They're going to see if they can find just that.
With a Phoenix and Bot up in the mid, you see Johanna there too, and then a tri-lane to defend in the top. Nasmus is just clearing space for Lutano and Collusion to clear out the Web Weaver without taking any structural damage here. Johanna being attacked by the Task Tracer in the mid is going to allow for them to get some more damage on there, but Team Freedom are so close to heroic abilities, and now clearing out top should allow for the rest of Team Freedom to rotate to this mid, and Leftovers need to be cautious with those heroics online.
See if we get the Rainer's Raider or that Hyperion. One allows you to siege up differently than the other, but that Rainer's Raider, when there's only that one target, does allow you to maybe give a little extra pepper towards that Cho'Gall. Right now, Team Freedom sitting on enough gems for another turn in. Looks like they're getting in position to potentially prep for that. See if they can get that as you are now able to turn in.
Twilight Dream instead of Tranquility, there is a lot of damage that comes out from a Cho'Gall. Constant poke because there is no mana. It's just how fast can you shell out those abilities. But with a Tracer diving around and how much DAB has been trying to utilize the focus on the Limitni Cho'Gall to get in and get a kill on Collusion. Now Collusion has a tool of his own to try to silence her and maybe allow for the rest of the team to turn around and focus down DAB.
This approach to defend mid, they're giving up that top fort, which has fallen. That minion wave continues to push in further. They're trying to defend mid as best they can with this camp. They captured it maybe too early, but now with level 10, we now have Twisting Nether. We'll see how this plays out. We also have the upheaval here to bring those in. Not the Twilight Hammer, but when you're trying to get those ranged onto you, you might find a Twilight Dream, but if you can get later game, then you can find those blow-up kills. Yeah,
that's quite a difference from the 2 Cho'Galls that we had in North America in the first part of this phase before the Western Clash. We'll see how that works out for Leftovers and how much Team Freedom gets done with this siege, because they are hungry to take down some of these structures here. They get the front wall ahead of this keep in the mid. Down on the bottom, Tassadar was clearing out using that Psystorm to just free clear that so that they could have 1 fort left. Team Freedom, though, are going to make the swift rotation down to this, and an aggressive one, too. Cody Boss does have Dimensional Shift, also took Archon, so he has that escape ability if needed.
Right now, we'll see if they try and pull the trigger, and they do. Here comes the upheaval. The Twisting Nether is out. Collusion, he's caught, does get the Twilight Dream out, but he will be the first to fall. The salvo out in return, but there's the Lifebinder helping to keep Limitni alive as well as Link. They continue the assault, and they're trying for more as the Dragon Queen is out.
I want to highlight Link's positioning. It's crucial that he avoided the Purification salvo. He wants to make sure to keep his health bar up so that the healing, the big percent healing goes to Limitni, allows him to keep fighting over and over again. But a great upheaval to get on Collusion. There's no ice block. There won't be one even as Team Freedom approach 13. Just possibly some more movement speed. Something to keep in mind for Collusion going forward is that upheaval.
See how this goes as Leftovers moving towards the top turn-in, seeing if they can find it elsewhere. But Malfurion has made his way back onto the battleground, but more importantly, 13 picked up here by Team Freedom. So we'll see leftovers. They'll fall back, try and reestablish that map control, get those lanes pushed back out, see if they can find another opportunity, as now they're going to chase 13 to move back forward with this aggressive composition. And again, 13 Gilly for Cho'Gall in the defensive side of things in particular. Very, very strong. Update on the Cho'Gall stacks. Only 6 stacks still. Not doing so great. Focused more on the wave clear than it is hitting those heroes.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to Team Freedom being able to run circles around leftovers, moving back and forth, being very structure focused. Leftovers did get that one fight in the bottom that netted them their first kill of the game, but they're hoping for a whole lot more and hoping to stack that up. Team Freedom just give up the Giants. They were posturing around this bottom lane. But for them, it's about trying to keep the lanes pushed if they can. Now Lutano, though, DAB's here. Blessed Shield does connect, forces out a recall right into the clutches of Lutano, drops down the pulse bomb, and gets away.
Here comes Cho'Gall, though, bringing in 2 members. There's going to be the Twilight Dream. Lutano staying alive for now. The silence still in effect, but now Lamitni is online. Lifebinder is here again. Still no 13. So we see the fireworks starting to dwindle. DAB looking for an opportunity, but still no pulse bomb to really get that dive in. A recall probably still not off cooldown.
It was a great Twilight Dream after the upheaval to try to staunch leftovers from pushing further, especially since Lutano was caught with a fairly low health bar, pretty bruised at the start of that fight, but all of Team Freedom to disengage there. Now continuing to hang around, deny the turn-in of leftovers, but Team Freedom are in this awkward point where they are almost there to a turn-in, but not quite, having enough gems, just a little bit more, and then they'll have that, but leftovers will be able to hit 13.
That's the key part for them as the Rune Bomb continuing to go out. The play around this. 13 is picked up. And for Cho'Gall, this is where you start to see the strength really shine as they hold their positioning. Lamitni sitting on 34 of those gems, continuing to start to stack up. Here comes the upheaval again. See if they can get the damage. Pulse Bomb onto Collusion. No more Ice Block for Malfurion as he's going to be the first to fall as they continue their assault.
There's no way to make it out of that one. That is for sure. With Collusion down, no supporting of Team Freedom, they have to go back to base, tap up, and hope to deal with the Web Weaver phase that leftovers have earned off of their consistent fighting. They have earned a lot off of their fighting, sitting here in the top 3 of the Western Clash, hoping that they can go on to the Grand Finals with a win over Freedom in this best of 5.
Now we'll see if they can make up this experience deficit. Again, sieging up will be a strength of this Cho'Gall, but the defense of this camp, this bruiser camp, is here. The cooldown reduction, you will see bomb after bomb when they are stacked up like this. And here comes the fight. Lamitni, they're standing, holding their ground. Heroics just about here. See if they try and rip a fight here in the middle of this lane. It's Nasmus and team, they're trying to hold strong.
Upheaval has just such a huge range. It's difficult for Collusion to keep healing his team up. He has to hit those Moonfires with the regrowths to be able to heal him up, but also needing to stay safe from that. And then on the other side of the fight, if he avoids the upheaval, then he falls victim to a pulse bomb with DAB always threatening as that mosquito. Charging in, Nasmus has an Avenging Wrath out. You see the upheaval, it pulls the Collusion into the clutches, and an immediate pulse bomb will take him out. He uses Twilight Dream, and that does set up for maybe Team Freedom to turn this around.
Lifebinder doing its job again, Nasmus holding point. But now this will be Lamitni and team going forward as the Rune Bombs continue to start to pepper away. 12 stacks now, so things really starting to come online. Also has completed its level 7 quest, has Gall to make sure and have that cooldown reduction on Shadow Flame that pairs very nicely with that percentage-based damage at level 13.
And even having Life Unbound, it is a pretty common pick for Alexstrasza, but especially so given that it is percent-based healing, helps her try to keep Lamitni healthy. And between that and the cross-supporting of Tassadar, even with things like Purification Salvo, even with Twilight Dream, really health bars are not getting into any place where Team Freedom are even able to hope for a kill now in this late game. And I'm fearful for Team Freedom now that we've reached the late game. They weren't able to take down any keeps. Where does the change happen for them, if anything?
It gets much more difficult, I can tell you that much, because even if Team Freedom does get that turn in, those 16 spikes between the Tassadar and the Cho'Gall are now fully in effect. Also, when I had talked to Mopsio earlier this week about the level 16, he said, I don't even care that the Unstoppable was taken away from the Surging Fist. I like Molten Block, which is what he's picked up here today.
So much cross-supporting survivability for leftovers. Team Freedom puzzled, perplexed by this Cho'Gall issue. They themselves have played the Cho'Gall. They know the strengths of this composition. but I don't know what it is going to be that allows them to find the answer. They have the Blessed Shield out on DAB. Now we see Yoda going in with the Purification Salvo.
Lifebinder's there, Nasmus, he's pulled in, Gilly.
Yeah, he does. Nasmus has still been staying alive with his Vindication, his healing, and the healing of Collusion, but now Pulse Bomb, Yoda warps away, but DAB is right there to follow him up, getting a second kill.
There's going to be the Pulse Bomb, make it 3, and Leftovers picking up a head of steam. Now find themselves a full level ahead. They're sitting on gems, enough for a turn-in, but first they're going to make a detour as they start the boss, and this will allow them a chance to really push down that top lane. The entire time, that bottom lane, those Siege Giants were piling up along that, so map control, structure control, definitely in favor of Leftovers. And with this style of composition, with the silence and what we've seen so far, this might be an opportunity for Leftovers to try and end this game early.
Rune Bombs, Pulse Bombs, Leftovers have it all. They are dropping them on Team Freedom, getting the triple kill there, getting a boss. They have the Web Weavers to try for this push, and the map is exactly the opposite of the early game. Every lane pushed to the advantage of the Leftovers now as DAB completes the turn-in for the team. And they can move on along with these lanes, along with the boss too. Having the Web Weavers right behind this is beautiful. Just push out the lanes. This is a setup for potential endgame.
That bot lane and top lane will be under assault. At worst, they get maybe 2 keeps out of this. At best, they get 1, but now we're going to see if they can turn that as there comes the Bless Shield. In comes the Salvo, the Lifebinder, not enough to keep Alex Straza alive. So a perfect counter so far for Team Freedom.
A lovely front flank, but even still, there's a double kill as Leftovers turn this around, taking out Phoenix too. They're taking him down, dropping like flies. DAB deep in the lines of Team Freedom as he brings down Ural, and Zugrug, the lone wolf from Team Freedom, is brought down. A 5-man team wipe for Leftovers.
And now that is going to be the victory march. 20 picked up, Cho'Gall survived. You don't need Alex Straza when the rest of Team Freedom is dead. So Cho'Gall coming out here in game number 1. Leftovers playing as if there is nothing to lose as they take game number 1 here in this lower bracket final.
When we came into this Western Clash, there were so many weird things, even things like, Team Fnatic not making it here. Endemic, Octalysis and Endemic very close to who would be qualifying for this event. And then Heroes Hearth Esports dropping to the underdogs, the extreme underdogs of the Leftovers. But since then, the Leftovers might have dropped to the lower bracket, and some things remain the same. That Team Dignitas looks pretty darn good, and Mopsio is inspiring to his team. They get game 1 over Team Freedom, North America's last hope.
We also had DAB, 7 kills, 0 deaths, most hero damage for his team, so getting 2 power plays on their part. But to break it down more, we're going to send it back over to Trixler and team back at the desk.
Well, that's a way to start your series, bringing out the Cho'Gall and shutting down your opponents. I got to ask you about Team Freedom Call. I'm coming to you to the left. When you start your series with that and you face off against Cho'Gall and then you get shut down that heavily, how do you respond to that emotionally?
Emotionally, you just have to forget about the game. Honestly, you have to take the next game and just pretend it is game number 1 because you cannot let something like that affect you that heavily. It's very, very important to be able to reset off of that.
Gotta agree with that. Going into game number 2, what do you do? Do you predict for this Cho'Gall? I'm assuming we won't see it again in the draft, but it is something that really did throw Team Freedom off the rocker.
If I would echo Kala, you just have to forget this game if you're on the side of Team Freedom. For Leftovers, though, I'm wondering how many tricks they still have up their sleeve. Mopsio is pretty much EU's Mega Man. He just seems to take the best power after he defeats a team. He gets the amazing team fight capability from Heroes Hearth Esports. He takes down Method, and now he's got these crazy drafts. Also, this team just continues to evolve in his tournament.
What I enjoy about it is yesterday we had Latana on the interview, and they mentioned, okay, we did a lot of research on Leftovers, and we realized they have about 22 heroes in their hero pool. So you come out in game number 1, and you're like, hey, here's a near hero for you to look at on silver platter here, and they get the victory. So it's cool to see that. Is there any major moment that you thought was a little bit too difficult for Team Freedom to answer there? It felt like Collusion in particular had a hard time.
He definitely did, especially considering the fact that Malfurion no longer has the ice block. Malfurion basically had to play super far away in order to not get engaged on. But this is the point that I did want to look at because Team Freedom at this point had established such a substantial lead. They're almost level 13 at this point right now. Tracer is located in the top lane and Team Freedom know that. They rotate down bottom, and this is this is the play that actually started getting Leftovers back into the game. We move forward, they take a look at Potty Boss, realize it's not really worth it, but this is so aggro, trying to take this fort as well. We see the Tracer right here starting to rotate down, and this is where things really start to fall apart. This Team Freedom, they're trying so hard to snowball the early game, because if they get to the late game with this Rainer composition, they literally have no tools to deal with the Cho'Gall. This over-aggression leads to the Leftovers pushing in, landing a massive engagement onto Collusion, satisfying the victory here in the team fight, and really just starting to push the Leftovers into this game. This is the first point where we noticed Leftovers pushing into the game.
First point where we started to see the Leftovers turn around, but also the first win that Cho'Gall has actually had here in the HGC in phase number 2 in both North America and Europe. Leftovers able to deliver that win. Now let's get ready here for game number 2. In terms of Battlegrounds, what are we wanting to see here from Team Freedom?
If I'm Team Freedom, I want to try to take the fight to them. I would go to a battleground like Infernal Shrines. We've seen them pull some shenanigans off on Sky Temple, so I'm really curious to see if they're going to try to out-macro or flat-out outplay Leftovers.
What about BOE? Yesterday we had that Sergeant Hammer composition that was destructive against the Leftovers.
That is true, but that was with Medivh as well, and I don't think you're going to be able to get something like that. To me, I think maybe you bring them to the Dragonshire, see what's up on that map.
Dragonshire, do you think Nazmus can take on Potty Boss in that top lane? Because it's mostly about those top laners there.
Yeah, honestly, not sure. Like, the Potty Boss is looking really, really good in the matchup, but Nazmas, he's no slouch either. I think it actually goes pretty even up there, but yeah, that is the map that I think we're going to see pretty soon here.
Usually comes down to those rotations, so we'll be seeing which battleground we're going to pretty darn soon. I know Team Freedom taking a breather here, waiting a second, trying to figure out how they want to approach going into the next match. But is there any other compositions that you want to see from Team Freedom? What is their bread and butter? Do they try to take Tracer themselves, maybe?
Maybe go for the Tracer. I actually would like to see Zugrug on Garrosh. Some of the most convincing and amazing play we've seen from them is out of the Garrosh. The ability to throw someone out of position, get the follow-up stun, and a taunt also that definitely seems to be a strength that Team Freedom excels at. If they can get that hero, I do like their chances for game 2.
Well, you guys are abuzz with Twitter right now as we talk about the Losers Finals. Obviously, Cho'Gall being picked exploded everyone on top of the Twitter feed. Let's go ahead and check out Heroes Esports right now with the hashtag HGC. It's so hard to choose Team Freedom or the Leftovers. I know Leftovers are trying their best to make a case for, hey, you should cheer for us. We play Cho'Gall.
Same.
It's very difficult. Even as an NA representative, I'm over here, I'm like, Team Free.
Cho'Gall.
Yeah, like
maybe one game.
They look so good, and they're just so fun to watch. Love this team.
Well, from Faded Music, a Team Freedom versus Leftovers rematch time. They're both looking so good today. I'm not sure who will win. I don't know either, man. Going into another tweet. Woo! Gosh. Saying woo is always hard to read. Let's go, Team Freedom. Make it to the finals, HGC Western Clash. If Team Freedom was able to make it to the grand finals, it would be North America versus Europe, and that would be an exciting way to end our entire weekend.
I think that would surprise a lot of people. If you look at the objective numbers, if you look at the history between the regions, I think a lot of people expected from the top 4 on to pretty much look like another week of EU HGC League play. But Team Freedom has definitely shown up big time. I think this is the dark horse of NA for sure. I don't think anyone expected them to make it this far. But as long as they keep the pressure off of themselves and they keep smiling, I want to see how they're looking as far as morale goes going into game 2. I think we could see EU versus NA.
So what's so fantastic about both these two teams is the fact that they've had a change up in mentality moving into this entire tournament. Both of them. Team Freedom, last Western, they were saying like they entered into it being very cocky, and then they have issues. But now they're very humble. They move into this tournament and they perform very well. Leftovers, same sort of thing. It seems like this is like the battle of level-headed teams, and it's fantastic.
That's something that's great to have in your own play yourself. So think about that here as we head into game number 2 for our Battleground in this best of 5 series. Leftovers currently up 1-0, and they actually select Battlefield of Eternity. Team Freedom will walk away with the first pick.
I like this choice for Leftovers. We've seen them play this battleground a few times over the course of day 2 and day number 3. They seem to be able to handle the immediate race really well, but there's also the long con when both teams are just kind of standing around. Their macro play, their ability to take the bottom fort off of the Bruiser camp last time we saw them on this battleground allowed them to move down and get the takedown on heroes like Kirsten and Decker Kane. I like this map for them. They seem at home.
Yeah, they really do enjoy a brawling. It's something that they focus on in Europe as well. Let's see if they're going to take away that Sergeant Hammer, though, because, again, that was an issue. Granted, you did mention the Medivh was something paired with it last time.
Hanzo also going to be a point of contest on this map. We all know how powerful he is here on Battlefield of Eternity. That never outmatched allows your team to race very, very well. But we've also seen Raynor show up quite frequently on this map. In addition, Leftovers love running the Li Ming here too. So that might be something that Team Freedom don't want to give them. Phoenix obviously going to be another hero that is a point of contest. As far as Warriors, gentlemen, which ones do you think are going to come out for these teams?
I mean, Murden is a go-to for me on this battleground. He does so much so well. He's able to buy space if you need to on the Immortal phase. He can force the initiation. But Team Freedom, they're choosing Diablo, which has been the main star of this tournament.
The premier gank warrior, he loves to engage and set up plays, win the team fight before it effectively starts, but you're going to give up your rel. Nasmus did a great job on that hero last game, but it's just when you're dealing with effectively 2 Cho'Galls, it doesn't matter what hero you're on.
Urel Phoenix, a strong one too.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Team Freedom, though, they do have the opportunity to run a Deckard Cain at this point, and I think that would be wise considering the circumstances. Deckard Cain allowing you to just set up those potions in these long, stalled-out fights for the Immortal, for that chunk damage, and look at that. Deckard Cain and Hanzo, these are some fantastic picks for Team Freedom. If you're an NA fan, you got to be happy about that.
This 1 through 3 is a powerful foundation. They can really round it out with a little bit of damage, maybe a little bit more tankiness in that top lane. For their 4th and 5th pick, Team Freedom got to be loving what they have. And over to the Leftovers, anything that you're thinking about in terms of banning out? You have the option to ban out Blaze when your rel's floating here.
I would definitely go for the ban on Blaze. You want to make sure when you go for those takedowns, that's exactly how it's going to end up playing out. They decide to ban out the Sergeant Hammer. I think they're already in a position to worry about why they banned Sergeant Hammer, though, because Hanzo's going to be able to force the issue. He can poke the Immortal safely from a distance without worrying about someone jumping on him, and it's going to put the onus on Leftovers to make a move, so I feel like there's some overlap there in what they're dealing with.
There's the Muradin ban for Team Freedom, which is the logical choice. Trick, you said yourself that Muradin and Diablo kind of the big picks here for Warriors. So now, Leftovers, you've got that main tank pickup as well. Your off lane's already locked in with that Urel. You need a support. What's it going to be for Linked? There's the Malfurion. I think that's a good choice.
I'm actually a little surprised at that because we saw Malfurion screaming for Ice Block that entire game last go-round. Now they find themselves in position, but they do have Sanctification. Yes. Mopsio's Tyrael is insane.
The Tyrael coming out. One that you have to be careful with if your opponent has a ton of CC available. Diablo is scary by himself, but if you have that Sanctification ruined, we saw it earlier in the tournament, Bad Bunny not able to get off Sanctifications in the middle of team fights, and that really caused the demise of that match. But on BOE, you have a lot of room to wiggle. Blaze and Li Ming come out for Team Freedom, and they have gotten everything they need to be successful on this battleground.
I love those picks, for sure. You know, taking away the Li Ming from the Leftovers especially.
I love the Blaze pickup because it targets Tyrael to me. Shadow Charge, Overpower, Jet Propulsion, that's all the time in the world to deny a key Sanctification and try to get that Tyrael trait value early in a team fight. I like that.
Ooh, the Gray Man coming out for Leftovers. That worries me a little bit. I mean, DAB is a wonderful player, but yesterday he seemed to fall flat when it came to that character.
You're absolutely right. It has been hit and miss so far. When it looks good, it looks great. But on the maps such as Tomb of the Spider Queen, it was very, very shaky. So I have to agree with you. It's making me feel a little bit uneasy myself.
Lauren, what are you thinking, man?
I'm a little concerned about the Gray Man also, but it also gives, with respect to the Battleground, Leftovers an opportunity to force the macro issue. Like I was saying, Hanzo and now Li Ming, they're going to be able to safely poke that Immortal quite a bit. Greymane, if he's left to his own devices and the rest of the team goes over to defend, he can force an issue himself. So it does give them an added dimension, but I think Team Freedom got the better draft here.
And if they can find Hanzo out of position, Greymane can shred him, so it's definitely an option. Let's go over to Jayhow and Gillyweed as we go into game number 2.
I'm pretty pumped for Battlefield of Eternity and to see if Lutano can get some resets. Are you? Or is it going to be Yoda?
I think Yoda leaving old school special. Gilly's too busy dancing back here. She's all excited for the resets.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm pumped.
I know. This right here, I think this is where Team Freedom finds their way back into the game. It seems like they got a much better draft and without the Cho'Gall cheese on the other side.
A lot of control over Mopsio's tanks again. Didn't quite work out for Method, especially when you have a backup of Tyrael that worked that well with that composition for Leftovers in the last series. Every Sanctification went off. Every Sanctification netted a kill and saved his team. We'll see if they can do it again.
It's Leftovers that find themselves up 1-0 as DAB. He will find himself on the Phoenix. Link, the all-star on this team, as well as Mopsio. He's going to be on the Malfurion. Blakitny, of course, on the Greymane. Mopsio on the front line with Tyrael, and then Pody Boss on Urel. That is Leftovers.
Meanwhile, in the red, Yoda, he will be on Li Ming, looking for those resets. Nasmus on Blaze, Zugrug on the front line, slamming people to walls with Diablo. Lutano will be playing his Hanzo, and finally, Collusion on Deckard Cain. It's Team Freedom!
Right now, already, right out of the gates, it's an interesting setup for these teams. Hanzo was up at the top, trying to see if maybe there was some early game structure damage in. It's something you can do with a Tyrael and a Phoenix and a Greymane. Move directly in, find some way to eat a few shots, get some extra shielding from Tyrael, get some early structure damage in. Instead, we're going to have the traditional 1-4 split. Now we're going to see Hanzo rotate down, and that might be just what Leftovers wants is they're actually shifting already right after that first wave.
Well, Leftovers is known for having some innovative early game strategies, and this is one of them. When you pull out someone else's solo laner, and then you bring people up for the gank, especially when it's Blaze, and you can body block the jet propulsion, but Nasmus lives through it, staying alive, dropping the spray. Now Leftovers might be able to use that Greymane to try to get the Khazra camp in the top. He's also fantastic at being able to pick up camps, along with getting that siege damage in.
Well, as you can see, we do have those StarCraft folks in here. They'll find familiar faces with Phoenix on one side, but we got our own Blaze from the Nexus here on the side for Team Freedom. Right now, he is going to hold point as the oil goes down, sitting here with Lutano, afraid of that rotation up from the rest of Team Freedom. Leftovers are going to walk away.
Gosh, it's too bad that our StarCraft fans missed the game earlier with Sarah Kerrigan taking on Raynor on the other side. Spoiler alert, Raynor won that one, but it was a close one.
Now with this camp picked up, we've seen the shifting of these rotations, and it seems to be favoring Team Freedom. Leftovers just missed out on that kill, but they won't be done. Looking for more. Lutano, though, has that agility. He's going to hop on over. They get back. Some early structure damage is actually being accomplished here by Team Freedom. And when you said Leftovers, they do have those innovative strategies with that Greymane, but they've been unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, so when they did that versus other European teams, it also didn't work out in their favor. Good teams know how to respond appropriately to it. Beautiful warp out, avoids the orb damage, as well as the root, which would have set up possibly for first blood for Team Freedom. Now Leftovers rotating in. Don't want to give up all of the camp presence at once. Would love to get some more sieging done or have the better setup around the Immortals due to Freedom having to defend this before they can get there themselves. We'll have Immortals happening in just over 30 seconds.
That route by Collusion was so good that Yoda's timing on his abilities were off. He's like, oh wait, you caught all 4 of them? I thought at least somebody would be exiting this area. So Collusion will continue to see if he can make those plays on the bigger moments when you have more of that follow-up, but definitely his presence being felt around every form of this map so far.
It is important to note, though, with Stay a While, something for Mopsio to consider when he's trying to go in and enable that Greymane, because if Leftovers try to play as aggressively as they would like to with this Yrel, Greymane, and Tyrael, who both are able to provide more supporting Yrel in that Aegis Supply armor, Tyrael in the Sanctification later on, and the shield, it is possible that things can get messed up by the Deckard Cain, just as the idea might be getting messed up for Leftovers if Mopsio didn't get out of there, but he does make it out. Team Freedom defend their Immortal, but it does sustain some damage.
What we saw there from Zugrug on that Diablo was exactly what you hope to get. You try and get those stuns into the walls right around the stuns from the Immortal. Just barely off as Mopsio was able to make it out, but Lutano came in with a scatter arrow. However, Mopsio lucky to be alive, I think, in that situation, but the playmaking potential of a Diablo around the defensive side of the Immortals, and there's a scatter arrow. I didn't even see it bounce there. Mopsio eating all the damage, gets the Eldruins out. Lutano coming over to make the plays. He will get the takedown, but he might pay with his life. Doesn't have agility.
Didn't have it, dies. 1-for-1 trade for the team. Linked to now in danger in deep as a Malfurion. Not necessarily where you want to be as a Malf, but DAB keeping the slows, keeping Team Freedom here from getting back to base even longer. Lets Leftovers rotate up despite losing their Tyrael. The rest of the team putting in so much damage to Team Freedom, force them back, and Leftovers force the swap.
Gilly, the amount of skill I'm seeing displayed by some of these players, they are playing at their absolute best. All these players trying to make plays for their team, and everything seems to be hinging on a thread every time we get into these engagements. No Hanzo at level 7, which means the race is not that significant right now, and it looks like Leftovers in the lead to take the first Immortal here on Battlefield of Eternity.
All Team Freedom can do is bring this down to a manageable situation. With less shields, they have less issue before the Immortal gets into a melee position, and they can finish it out. Not losing too much structures is their goal right here. They're currently sitting even in experience that will undoubtedly shake things up with the Immortal if Leftovers can get things done with it. But it is an earlier Immortal, so it's not the end of the world for Team Freedom.
Several tools to deal with it as 7 is finally picked up. Hanzo in this area does have trouble finding the exact angles. Got to make sure you go to that geometry class. And Lutano, he knows just how to do that. As Mopsio and team, they start to work their way in. See if they try and get that El Druin going in. And here it comes.
Right on top of Lutano, too. Has the wall out. Everyone stays safe, but it buys space for the Immortal on the fort. That's the important thing. They can rotate back up now. Nasmus comes in too. Let's see if Team Freedom can get a rotation in on one of these players. A flank possibly with a combo, but Leftovers leave just before the fort goes down. Befort. It's sadly not down just yet, but Leftovers should be able to clear that out pretty soon.
So that is a large chunk of experience that Leftovers will likely send somebody back for. Mopsio, he's just trying to make sure he makes it out alive. And sometimes in that race towards 10, depending on the timing of that next Immortal, since there wasn't a long stagger time for that, then getting this experience can get them that lead towards 10. It might buy them an advantage to help try and move this map along. And Zugrug and team, I think they know they can't give up any position at all.
Exactly, that's why they are being willing to fight over this camp. But now Yoda gets some damage done to him now, but gets back behind the front line. Bo5 going in, diving deep for that, turns around, gets a combo from Yoda, has to run away. The whole rest of the team had focused on just bringing down Diablo, takes him out. He's gone for 20 seconds, and the body blocks are there on Nasmus too.
Bo5 is a wild man. He is just diving anywhere and everywhere, saying, I dare you to try and kill me, and unsuccessful has been the name of the game. Diablo 92 souls, so it's not like he's lacking for that extra health and survivability. But we'll have 8 more to go to get that. And when that fort fell, you can see the jump in experience as well as that kill. Now Leftovers will have that race to 10 firmly in their hands. We'll see if they can go. But for Team Freedom, I believe the position of the Immortal should be in their favor, at least at the start of the halftime show, so that Hanzo can get the arrows in on his side of the map.
Yeah, it is. And Leftovers can either just choose to race along with that, force it fast, and hope that they get the next half while they still have 10 in their favor, or possibly coming in with that 10, seeing if they can get some picks, some kills, snowball this game even further. It looks like they're going to choose the former of that option. Race this down quickly, but Team Freedom wins that race initially, but with heroic abilities here is going to have to back out.
They're going to get this camp to buy time in the top lane. They're going to have to deal with a double camp pressure in the bottom, and if they let that push in too much, level 10 is here. Leftovers, they'll also be able to race down the Immortal momentarily. It looks like they took up a defensive positioning. Surprising, considering they already had the 10, or at least were near that, and everybody showed up bottom. So using that Greymane, they'll get that. Next Immortal will push the bottom as well.
Immortal drops down. Heroics almost here for Team Freedom. Malfurion still considering. Linked, not sure if he wants Tranquility for the extra heals for the team, or Twilight Dream just to bring someone else down. Maybe if Li Ming got a little too aggressive with her calamities, could get the Twilight Dream there, but sticking with Tranquility to give heals for the team. That and Sanctification and the Aegis of Light from those Avenging Wraths should be a lot of safety for Leftovers as they start to move in. Heroic abilities here for Team Freedom.
We have a moment. I really want to highlight that play by Nasmus on that Blaze. Wait a minute, hold on. Zugrug, he's going in. There's going to be the Dragon Arrow. That hit. Wave of Force out as well. Now Yoda and team, they're on the retreat. Salvo's out. Everybody says, let's hop in a bunker. Make sure to avoid that damage. They back away. Sanctification comes in. They're going in.
It was enabling everyone to jump on top of that bunker, but not in a position to body block people as they escape. But again, like with the first Mortal and the push in the top lane, all just getting aggressive to let the Immortal do its thing, taking down the second fort for Team Freedom. Only keep structures now remaining and giving Leftovers a firm lead in this game.
Good news for Team Freedom. They will be on even talent tiers by the time the next Immortal comes in, or awfully close to it. So for them, they need to make sure not to give up anything. In the meantime, if they can pick up something, that would be great. But obviously, they find themselves a level behind. They just need to find their way back in. If they can get a pick, you see the mini-map, Greymane is hiding. He is not showing to the minions. The minute he shows to the minions, the minute he reveals that there's a potential advantage for Team Freedom, DAB gets sniffed out. Got to be careful that Zugrug doesn't dive under that. With Greymane showing, they know that they have a numbers advantage top, but they have to be careful on how long they stay here, because Greymane will push in that bottom lane and you'll start to lose structures.
Yeah, just get free siege. We see Nasmus going back already so that he can show up to the party there. some of Leftovers choosing going off of the map for Team Freedom is worrying enough that the rest are going to follow and go along with. They just get the camp in the top lane to maybe get some siege done there. The problem is 13. Leftovers are very close to it for the next Immortal phase. That is the situation when you start to fall behind. These talent tiers around every single objective phase is making tough decisions around which talent tiers you fight into without having, and when you have to give up the objective just to try to get experience back. But even if you catch up in experience, then you lose a giant shielded Immortal, and then you lose more structures. And Team Freedom are out of structures to lose unless they're going to start having catapults push against them, and that's a whole different ballgame.
I was surprised at the approach there. They didn't find that aggression. The minute they spotted DAB at the top, yes, there's towers there, but you're tanking up as Diablo. I'm surprised they didn't pull the trigger because they already knew Greymane was bottom. Now not getting that pick, they conceded more experience in the bottom in the form of that tower. They conceded more control of this game over away to Leftovers. For Team Freedom, though, they do find themselves in a position to get this halftime show underway. They have to be careful. The minute this breaks out, they won't have 13. They might be conceding another Immortal.
Well, they back off to safe positioning until they know where the swap is going to take place. Leftovers, though, starting to move in. No holy ground to stop some of Team Freedom in these chokes, but it does give more of the shields for the team. Lutano gets chased down. Blakitny takes him out, laying waste to Team Freedom in this fight. Collusion all the way moved to the back. Team Freedom separated from each other, and without their Hanzo, things are falling apart. Mopsio dives in too, but Yoda teleports to safety.
Just able to get out of there, and now Leftovers turns their attention to the Immortal, trying to take a firm grasp on this game. With both forts down in the top and bottom, they can now start looking at keeps. Team Freedom did get that Immortal down about halfway in terms of that shield, so they'll be able to defend somewhat more relatively easier, but this is still very threatening. They'll have 13 by the time this comes in. But for Leftovers, they're looking to accomplish a lot here as we approach the 12 to 13 minute mark, which is around the mid game. Or it might be starting to be that late game when we look at the final timer of this one.
Leftovers are making sure to bring their minions with them so that they can soak up some of these structure shots. Team Freedom instantly sent Li Ming to the bottom because they do need that 13, because it's very likely that they look for a re-engage off the back of this Immortal. Either they clear it out and then go in after trying to catch someone, or they move around for a flank. You see pings in the vent. That's the best flank positioning too for Leftovers. You see Boss in his positioning, making sure that he can Avenging Wrath away or knock someone back with a hammer if that's the case. It's his job to make sure. Zugruk tries to go in. We see the root does land onto Mopsio, but it's only Mopsio, and Boss doing what he loves to do, dive in deep to the back line.
The minute bunker went down, Savo came out. Now all of a sudden, Collusion, he's on the back foot. He's going to be the first to fall. Leftovers is going in. There's the body block. Zugruk, the roots are going to land onto him. He's just trying to get to the other side of the wall. Boss says, don't worry, I got a backdoor pass as he comes in and takes down Diablo. Nasmus somehow able to escape, but Leftovers, the damage is done. The keep is down, and now that Immortal on the core won't be able to accomplish much. But Leftovers getting that crucial keep at this point in the game.
DAB set lasers to kill there, getting so many kills for the team, opening up this game and blowing it out of proportion for Team Freedom now. A 2-level deficit for them now, and hard choices to be made without a keep catapult in the next phase of the Immortal, and Leftovers getting 16 and smartly backing out from that before any of the respawn timers could even hope for Team Freedom to get kills there. It's a long road to recovery if Team Freedom is going to win this game too.
2-level lead here for Leftovers, and they have started to put the pressure on with that 5-1 kill lead. You know they've established dominance so far. We obviously see a change-up, devastating charge. Nazos has been very aggressive in the choke points, getting those stuns, but maybe he feels he needs more. So getting that devastating charge to try and do some damage of his own. 1 stack so far. We'll see if he can get more. There's going to be number 2. No flip back in. They got to be careful here. They are still down those 2 levels.
The engagements for Team Freedom have not really been working out for them. A lot of that is that there's sanctification that's always available and a lot of supporting for Leftovers, but what is it that Team Freedom needs to do if they're going to start finding success in these team fights? Because you see Zugruk go in, try to get a kill. He gives the combo to the team. They have Deckard behind that, but it just feels almost lackluster. It's definitely not netting any resets for Li Ming.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be difficult because Leftovers is not giving them the opportunity. They continue to find ways to manipulate the map. This is a double camp pressure in the bot lane. You're denying experience from the enemy team in that top lane because it's all hands on deck for Team Freedom. If they're going to take a fight, they're going to have to do it under their own own keep if Zugrug can flip somebody over and isolate them. But these sieging potentials there. Blakitny going in, Dragon Arrow, here it comes.
Yeah, but a Nature's Cure stops that right away. Sanctification 2, Bunker in the back. Nasmus staying there. Stay a while and listen to bail him out. See if he can get the turnaround. They had Lightning Breath, they had Stay a while and listen at the same time. Flip over, push in. Blakitny takes damage, but so too does Yoda as he wants to keep bringing out all of his abilities to get kills, but the resets just are not coming to Team Freedom.
Team Freedom got the interrupt on the salvo. Whether that was a good or bad thing in the long run, we'll find out soon. The positioning is in favor of Team Freedom to minimize the shield, at least if they aren't able to contest beyond this. Having the Hanzo racing here. Greymane on the other side is doing an amazing job for Team Freedom. They've brought this down somewhat, but they still do not have that 16. They still are unable. There's going to be the dismount onto Zugrug. He's holding position for now. The roots go down. Zugrug walks away as the roots in kind come back from Deckard and Collusion on the other side.
Zugrug sitting at 43 souls. Not nearly as tanky as he used to be. Now body blocked away from the rest. Blown up in the blink of an eye. Purification salvo now coming out, but the bunker's there. Tyrael goes down.
There we go. There's going to be the explosion. Nasmus, he's holding on point. Yoda trying to get the reset, unable to do so. DAB comes in with another kill. The rest of Team Freedom, they are walking away. It is a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Leftovers, and they continue to dominate this. There's a little bit of love action going around.
If you love Tyrael, like I do, then you're rooting for the Leftovers. But if you're a fan of NA, then Team Freedom needs your cheers because they have not had any sort of success in the team fights the way they would like in this game. And then going to Tomb in game 1 and having to play against a vexing Cho'Gall that they themselves have played before. This series is a rough one for Freedom thus far, but Leftovers, with all the momentum that they have gained over their reverse sweep, over Method now, get another strong Immortal and are preparing to push against Team Freedom.
Team Freedom has to look for a fight behind this Immortal. They cannot afford to wait for this to go all the way to the keep. The structure damage on the keep wall is already down, so they will look to take this fight here momentarily. There's this sighting by Mopsio. There's going to be the Eldruins. This is a not tanky Zugrug as he's trying to hold on the front line. The bunker goes down. He sneaks out the back door, but Pody Boss going in. That's going to be the takedown. Blakitny, he's trying to look for more as he goes in, and right now Leftovers in full assault mode.
He goes for the throat and he's trying to cut the jugular. Stay a while and listen, but now Mopsio moves to the other side of Collusion. Blakitny finds it and executes, bringing down Hanzo. Collusion will be next, and Leftovers can move on, take out this keep, take out the core, and take game 2.
Leftovers on the victory march, finding themselves one game away. You could already see the sprays earlier in this game. It was the sprays of Dignitas, maybe a sign of things to come, saying we are coming for you. And right now, Leftovers, they are just trying to end this. DAB getting a little cheeky right now, but make no mistakes about it. Leftovers in full control over the first 2 games of this series.
You know, there's a lot to be said about dropping down to the lower bracket and having to play